Hello everyone and welcome back to a TikTok tag video. Today we are looking at fat liberation. And I have us starting on Hannah Talks Bodies because this was the one that this was the video that initially made me want to cover her for the TikTok spotlight. And I think today I'm gonna try to keep this shorter because my videos keep going longer than I want. So we're gonna just go ahead and jump right into it.
Last year, I got married, and like most people do, we hired a wedding photographer. One day, we had a meeting to talk about the wedding, and after we got done talking about that, she said that she was actually in the process of getting into boudoir photography, and she very, very nervously asked me if I would be interested in being her first subject. And she clearly didn't think I was going to say yes, but before she could even finish, I was like, yes, yes, oh my god, yes. So the day came, I got my hair done, I got my makeup done, I made a playlist with absolute bone jams that made me feel super powered and amazing. And when I got there, she clearly felt like she needed to coddle me or encourage me, and I was like, yeah. Is it okay if I'm dead ass naked? I brought some outfits too, but I would like to be completely naked. And she was fine with that. When the photo shoot was over, she asked me if I was planning on giving the pictures to my husband as a gift, to which I said, no. I told her that when she approached me with this idea, I saw it as an opportunity. I told her that as a fat woman, I wanted to teach her by example how to treat other fat women in this space. Last year, I got married, and
so the thing is that I have with that is that she really views herself as this fat warrior, and she was the main character teaching someone how to behave around fat women. There was so much arrogance in this for me that I was like, holy shit, I need to cover this woman. And it's just, I'm glad that she is as confident as she is. That by all means, be as confident as you want. This whole thing about teaching someone how to behave around fat women, though, I don't know what it is about it, but it just fucking pissed me off. It pissed me off so goddamn much. It was like, honey, you're not as much of the main character as you think you are. I don't know. Anyway, well, we're just gonna move on.
The boob in the second boob area, that is from sucking in your stomach.
When I was a child, my mother made me hold in my stomach all the time for pictures, even just walking around, because I was a fat kid. And oh my god, this is
the boob in the second boob area.
That is not from sucking in your stomach. I don't remember sucking in my stomach much ever, and I actually have that issue with the second boob area. I hate it. I fucking hate that my body carries weight right there, but it's just a matter of natural fat distribution. Now, granted, it probably wouldn't show up if I weren't overweight or borderline obese, but that's just fat, and that's just the way that your body has distributed its fat. It sucks, but let's not pretend that this is diet culture causes your fat to distribute in this weird way. No, it fucking doesn't. That's just an unfortunate way that some bodies carry fat. Y'all want to talk about fat liberation, fat acceptance, body positivity, and yet you're trying to say that carrying fat right there was a moral failing on your part because you sucked in your stomach. I gotta turn their language back on them. I just have to, because it's fucking dumb, and I don't like it. I don't like that you're saying that, because it's not fucking true. Because has nothing to do with what anyone has fucking done. It's just the way the body sometimes carries fat. Is it frustrating? Fuck yes, it's frustrating. But you want to get rid of it, you have to lose some weight. Because unfortunately, that's just how your body distributes fat. Or wear more flattering clothes. One of the two.
There are some people who don't know what hogging is, so let's talk about it. In talking about it, I highly recommend you look up research written by Ariane Prohaska and Janine Gailey. They have written multiple articles and book chapters about hogging and the different interactions it has on our lives and oppressive structures. So hogging is a practice in which men typically will prey on fat women and make bets with their friends about finding the fattest and most unattractive woman that they can find and having sex with her. Sometimes they will then, in the completion of having sex with her, have the entire group of men come barging in the room, and they'll start honking or oinking and harassing the woman until she leaves that space. It's that guy at bars who picks up a fat girl at last call, but worse, because they're actively doing it from the moment that they're sober for the purpose of embarrassing and doing harm onto that person. The secondary part of it is when men are in a sexual slump, they'll fuck fat women to get out of it. There are some people.
So, couple of things. I'm not going to argue whether this happens or not, because I think it does, but I think the way this is presented is that this happens, like, just in general, where this sounds, at least to me, more like a frat boy thing. Like, it's the same thing, kind of like a pig dance, where it seems like someone, like a group of people who are very immature and kind of cruel, do this as a form of entertainment. And that typically is, like, for pig dances, it would probably be high school to college men, and then for this hogging concept, it would probably be college to probably just out of college if they're, like, real douchebags. And I don't think that it's right to necessarily set it up as this is something that happens habitually across age groups. As for the sexual slump and fucking fat women to get out of it, like, if everyone is a consenting adult and it just is a string of one-night stands, what the fuck does that have to do with anything? Like, don't police people's sexual habits. I'm not saying that it's right, especially if they're... I don't think it's right if they are presenting it to these women as the possibility of a relationship just to fuck them to kind of get out of that sexual slump. But if this is like bar nights where it's a series of one night stands where both people are like hooking up after a night out, like, I don't think that that's right to act like that is a form of oppression. I don't think the other one is necessarily a form of oppression. It's because I don't think... Here's the thing, the concept of hogging and pig dances, most people either don't know about, or if they do, they agree that it's like a shitty thing to do to a person. So I don't know if you can really call it a form of oppression, or, I mean, it's definitely a form of bullying. Like, I would agree with that, but the way this is presented, it's as though this is a common accepted thing where I think most rational people would say, no, that's fucked up. And the people that are enacting this kind of abuse tend to be very immature and need to be corrected, not to discount the feelings of the victims of those circumstances, because it's definitely a form of bullying. I don't think it's necessarily a form of oppression.
If you grew up fat, tell me one story from your childhood that people probably will not believe unless they grew up fat. I'll go first. So this was in 4th grade. It was the day after Halloween, and so I brought a couple of the extra little Hershey's chocolate bars, like the mini ones, into my cold lunch. Snuck them in, might I add. This lunch lady from across the room sees me taking them out of my lunchbox, storms over to me, and takes them right out of my hand and starts screaming at me in front of the entire lunchroom about how unhealthy it is and how disgusting it is and how she was sent by my mom to be a spy to check the food I was eating to make sure I wasn't sneaking extra food. My mom had a spy on like a 9 or 10-year-old to make sure she wasn't eating frickin' food. If you grew
Okay, I'm pretty sure Splotchmaker lives in the US. She looks actually about my age, meaning that we would have been in 4th grade roughly at the same time. As someone who, my mom has told me stories about the school, and I myself work in public schools now, I can tell you that this is most likely a fabrication. And the biggest tip-off to me that it is a fabrication is people weren't just, like, randomly allowed, especially in large groups of children, weren't just randomly allowed to be there. You had to sign in at the office. You had to sign up to be a volunteer if you wanted to work in there, especially since it sounds like this woman wasn't necessarily a parent. Like, parents could visit like the campus and go into their child's classroom or just, track down their child. But since this woman doesn't sound like she was particularly tied to a specific child and was a friend of her mother, she wouldn't have just been allowed to roam the lunch room, like just randomly come in. That wouldn't be allowed. The doors were locked. The doors were locked until recess, typically, and there were paraeducators and like designated parent volunteers to go out. Another way is that the school would be wary about adults shouting at children because they don't want to hear flack from the other parents. So I don't believe that if that did happen, someone wouldn't have intervened at some point. If not for her sake, then for the other kids in the room, their sake. So I don't know. I find that very suspect. And if that were the case, that your mother was so obsessed with your weight that she was sending someone to spy on you, wouldn't she, I don't think you would have been able to sneak in snacks like candy into your lunchbox. I would think that she would check it again and again and again to make sure you didn't get an extra piece of candy. Like, Splotchmaker is someone that we will be doing a TikTok spotlight on in the future because she's not quite Marissa level, but she's approaching there. So
I am so tired of thin women comparing skinny shaming to what fat women experience. It is not the same and it will never be the same. Yesterday, I went to dinner with my friends and I enter the restaurant and I'm waiting for my table and a man is taking pictures of me. I'm just standing there and he has his phone pointed at me from the side, taking pictures of me as I'm standing. Thin people will never understand what it's like for your existence to be a joke. I am so tired.
Honey, are you fucking that oblivious to what I don't have words to express this. You think thin women don't have creepy guys taking pictures of them? Do you really think that? I understand that you frame this as he was kind of clowning on you and taking pictures. One, how do you know he wasn't like a chubby chaser and taking pictures of you for his own little FAP album? Like, just real quick, I know that that's how you interpreted it, and that could very well be how that whole thing played out, but creepy men are everywhere, for every size woman, for every type of body that there is a creepy guy to harass someone. That's just a thing, and I'll even generalize it more than just say creepy person, because they don't necessarily have to be men to be creepy. But this isn't a narrow field of harassment that only fat people experience. Plenty of women have, and men for that regard. There was that whole Alex from Target thing. People have others taking unwanted photos of them on a regular basis. It's an invasion of privacy for sure. I would say it's a form of harassment for sure. And I think it sucks that anyone has to deal with it. But that's not a specifically fat issue. This is a wide issue that covers a variety of people. So this is Fat Fab Feminist, and we will be doing a TikTok spotlight on her as well in the future. But I just wanted to cover this real quick because I think that it is so fucking self-absorbed to think that you are the only type of person that has to deal with this sort of thing. Other people have others taking unwanted pictures of them in public spaces. That's a thing that happens. Alright? And was it because of your weight? Most likely. But it could have also just been that he thought he was a chubby chaser, he thought you were attractive, and he was fetishizing you. Like, that's another option. And skinny women have that happen to them all the time as well. So, let's not pretend. Okay? Let's not pretend. I'm done. I think I managed to keep this somewhat shorter. Not great, but we're going to just end it here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.